This jellyfish just broke the one rule that kills everything else on Earth. When it's about to die, it does something that shouldn't be possible. It reverses time and becomes young again. And it's not the only animal that's hacking reality. The Fountain of Youth has tentacles. Meet Turritopsis dohrnii, a jellyfish no bigger than your pinky nail that has achieved what every human civilization has dreamed of since the dawn of time. It has conquered death, not through medicine, not through technology, but through a biological process so radical it shouldn't exist. When this tiny jellyfish faces stress, injury, old age, or disease, it doesn't die. Instead, it does something that breaks every rule of biology textbooks. It reverses time. The adult jellyfish literally transforms its cells backward, shrinking down, reabsorbing its tentacles, and reverting to its juvenile polyp stage. It's like a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar, then emerging as a butterfly again, and again, and again. Scientists call this process transdifferentiation, but that clinical term barely captures the magnitude of what's happening. Every single cell in the jellyfish's body abandons its specialized job and becomes a completely different type of cell. Muscle cells become nerve cells, reproductive cells become digestive cells. It's biological alchemy on a scale that should be impossible. The jellyfish essentially hits a reset button on its entire existence. Once the transformation is complete, it begins growing up all over again, reaching sexual maturity and starting the cycle anew. It can repeat this process indefinitely, theoretically forever. In laboratory conditions, scientists have watched individual specimens cycle through this rebirth process more than 10 times with no signs of degradation. If left undisturbed by predators or disease, Turritopsis dohrnii could live forever. It has turned the fundamental law of mortality into a mere suggestion. Researchers studying this jellyfish are uncovering mechanisms that could revolutionize human aging and cancer treatment. The creature that mastered immortality might hold the keys to extending your life. But if you think cheating death is impossible, wait until you see what survived being blasted into space. The unkillable. In 2007, scientists strapped a microscopic animal to the outside of a rocket and blasted it into the vacuum of space. No oxygen, no pressure, bombarded by lethal radiation for 2 weeks. When they brought it home, it wasn't just alive, it was thriving. Meet the tardigrade, a creature so impossibly resilient that it makes every other survival story look like child's play. These microscopic water bears, no bigger than the period at the end of this sentence, have turned extreme survival into an art form that defies every law of biology. The space experiment was just the beginning. Tardigrades can survive being boiled alive at temperatures that would cook any other animal instantly. They can be frozen to absolute zero, where molecular motion nearly stops, and walk away unharmed. They can withstand radiation levels 6,000 times higher than what would kill a human in minutes. But here's what's truly disturbing. When conditions become too extreme, even for these ultimate survivors, tardigrades don't just endure, they cheat death entirely. They enter a state called cryptobiosis, essentially drying themselves out until they're almost completely dead. Their metabolism drops to 0.01% of normal levels. They curl into an indestructible barrel shape called a ton, and wait. In this state, they can survive for decades without food, water, or oxygen. Scientists have revived tardigrades that had been dormant for 30 years, and they sprang back to life as if nothing had happened. They've survived simulated asteroid impacts, nuclear fallout, and pressures 6 times greater than the deepest ocean trenches. The most mind-bending part? There are tardigrades living on your roof right now, in the moss on park benches, in puddles, and in soil samples from every continent, including Antarctica. They're everywhere, quietly mastering every form of death that nature can devise. Military researchers are studying tardigrade survival mechanisms for developing life support systems that could keep humans alive in space for decades. But if surviving space seems impressive, the next animal turned the ocean into its personal weapons factory. The gunslinger of the deep. The loudest sound in the ocean doesn't come from a whale. It comes from a shrimp the size of your thumb that hunts with a weapon that shouldn't exist in nature, a bullet made of water that burns hotter than the surface of the Sunday. The pistol shrimp looks harmless enough, lurking in coral reefs with one oversized claw that seems almost comically disproportionate. But that claw is a biological impossibility. a weapon that transforms basic physics into a lethal hunting tool. When the shrimp snaps its claw shut at blinding speed, it doesn't just make noise, it creates a cavitation bubble that defies everything we thought we knew about underwater acoustics. The snap generates a water jet traveling at 60 miles per hour. As this jet hits the surrounding water, it creates a bubble that collapses in less than 1 millisecond. In that infinitesimal moment, temperatures inside the bubble reach 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the Sunday. The collapse produces a sonic boom that registers at 218 decibels, loud enough to stun or kill nearby fish instantly. But wait, it gets worse. The collapsing bubble generates a flash of light called sonoluminescence, creating a brief spark of plasma in the underwater darkness. This tiny shrimp is essentially creating a miniature star with every snap of its claw, turning water into a weapon that combines extreme heat, deafening sound, and actual light. The physics should be impossible. In water, which is 800 times denser than air, sound waves behave completely differently. Yet the pistol shrimp has mastered underwater ballistics with surgical precision. It can stun prey from 2 inches away, or use its sonic blasts to communicate with other shrimp across the reef. The cavitation bubble it creates is so powerful that it can crack aquarium glass. Military researchers study these shrimp to understand how they achieve such devastating effects with nothing but seawater and biology. What if I told you there's a fish that makes the pistol shrimp look like a toy gun? Living lightning. If you wired a car battery to your nervous system, you'd die instantly. But in the muddy waters of South America swims a fish that generates enough electricity to power a small house and uses it as casually as you use your hands. The electric eel isn't actually an eel at all, but that's the least surprising thing about this biological power plant. Lurking in the murky rivers of the Amazon basin, this 6-foot-long fish has turned its entire body into a living electrical grid capable of producing up to 860 volts of pure bioelectricity, enough to knock a full-grown horse unconscious. But here's where it gets truly impossible. The electric eel doesn't just have one electrical system, it has 3 separate power sources running simultaneously through its body. 6,000 specialized cells called electrocytes line up like biological batteries, each one capable of generating a tiny electrical charge. When they fire in perfect synchronization, they create a devastating electrical discharge that can be detected from 20 feet away. The eel uses its lowest setting like biological radar, sending out gentle electrical pulses to navigate through muddy water where sight is useless. These weak signals bounce off objects and return like electrical sonar, creating a 3-dimensional map of the world around it. It can detect the electrical fields generated by other fishes' gills and heartbeats, turning every living creature into a beacon. When hunting, it cranks up the voltage. The eel can generate rapid-fire electrical bursts that override the nervous systems of nearby fish, causing their muscles to contract violently. The prey literally cannot control their own bodies, convulsing helplessly as the eel moves in for the kill. The most mind-bending part? The eel is completely immune to its own electrical weapons. Its vital organs are insulated and positioned to avoid the electrical current that would instantly kill any other fish. Engineers are studying electric eel bioelectricity to develop self-powered medical implants that could run on your body's own electrical fields. But if you think biological electricity is impossible, the next animal literally stole superpowers from plants. The animal that became part plant. Photosynthesis is supposed to be the exclusive domain of plants. Animals eat, plants make their own food from sunlight. It's biology 101. But swimming off the coast of New England is a sea slug that stole the sun's power and rewrote the rules of being an animal. Meet Elysia chlorotica, an emerald green slug that has achieved something no other animal in the history of life has accomplished. It has become part plant. This thumb-sized marine creature doesn't just eat algae, it performs cellular theft on a scale that shouldn't be biologically possible. When young Elysia feeds on Vaucheria algae, it doesn't simply digest its meal like every other animal on Earth. Instead, it carefully extracts the chloroplasts, the tiny green factories where photosynthesis happens, and incorporates them into its own body tissue. The slug literally steals the molecular machinery that converts sunlight into energy and makes it its own. But the theft goes even deeper. Elysia doesn't just take the chloroplasts, it hijacks the genetic instructions needed to maintain them. The slug integrates algal genes into its own DNA, giving it the blueprints to keep the stolen solar panels functioning. It's genetic piracy on a cellular level, turning the slug into a living hybrid of animal and plant. Once fully loaded with chloroplasts, Elysia can survive for up to 10 months without eating a single thing. It spreads its leaf-like body to capture sunlight and produces its own food through photosynthesis, just like a plant. The slug becomes bright emerald green, its entire body glowing with stolen chlorophyll as it transforms sunlight into sustenance. Scientists studying Elysia have discovered that it can meet all of its energy needs through photosynthesis alone, making it the only animal in the world capable of living like a plant. Researchers believe understanding this process could lead to creating human cells that can produce their own energy from sunlight. But if stealing plant powers seems extreme, wait until you meet the fish that threw out its blood entirely. Ice water for blood. In the frozen waters of Antarctica, where the ocean temperature drops below the freezing point of most blood, swims a fish that should be dead. Its blood is crystal clear, and by every law of biology, it should have frozen solid decades ago. The Antarctic icefish patrols the sub-zero waters of the Southern Ocean with blood so transparent you can see right through it. While every other vertebrate on Earth relies on red blood cells packed with hemoglobin to carry oxygen through their bodies, the icefish threw out that fundamental design and rewrote the rules of circulation entirely. This ghostly pale fish has no red blood cells whatsoever, none. Its blood looks like water with a faint yellowish tint, carrying 90% less oxygen than the blood of any other fish. By every measure of vertebrate physiology, it should suffocate within minutes. Instead, it thrives in waters so cold they would instantly kill tropical fish. The icefish solved the oxygen problem through biological engineering that borders on the impossible. Its heart is 3 times larger than normal, pumping the low oxygen blood through its system with enough force to compensate for the reduced carrying capacity. Its blood vessels are oversized highways designed for maximum flow, and its gills are enormous oxygen-harvesting organs that extract every molecule from the frigid water. But here's what's truly disturbing. The real magic lies in its antifreeze proteins. These molecular guardians patrol the icefish's bloodstream, preventing ice crystals from forming even when the water temperature drops to 28 degrees Fahrenheit. The proteins bind to any ice crystal that tries to form, stopping it from growing and keeping the fish's vital fluids flowing in conditions that would turn other fish into popsicles. Medical researchers are studying icefish antifreeze proteins for organ preservation technology that could keep human organs viable for transplant indefinitely. Think transparent blood is weird? The next predator can see colors that don't exist in human language. The boxer that breaks physics. The fastest punch in human history clocked in at 45 miles per hour. In the coral reefs of the Indo-Pacific lives a shrimp that throws punches at 50 miles per hour underwater while seeing colors that don't exist in human language. The mantis shrimp isn't actually a shrimp at all, but that's the least remarkable thing about this underwater boxer. With club-like appendages that have evolved into biological sledgehammers, this rainbow-colored crustacean delivers strikes with the force of a .22 caliber bullet. The acceleration is so intense it creates cavitation bubbles in the water, the same physics-defying phenomenon that makes the pistol shrimp's weapons so deadly. But the mantis shrimp's punch is just the opening act. What truly sets this creature apart is its vision system, which makes human eyesight look primitive by comparison. While humans have 3 types of color receptors, the mantis shrimp has 16. It can see ultraviolet light, infrared radiation, and polarized light patterns that are completely invisible to us. This isn't just impressive, it's practically supernatural. The mantis shrimp can detect cancer cells in human tissue better than our most advanced medical imaging equipment. It can see through camouflage that fools every other predator in the ocean. It processes visual information so rapidly that it can track objects moving at speeds that would appear as blurs to human eyes. The compound eyes move independently, creating a 3-dimensional view of the world that no human technology can replicate. Each eye has trinocular vision, meaning it can judge distance and depth with a single eye better than humans can with both eyes working together. When hunting, the mantis shrimp becomes a guided missile with supernatural targeting systems. It spots prey invisible to other predators, calculates distance with impossible precision, and delivers a punch so fast and powerful it can shatter aquarium glass and break through crab shells like they're made of paper. Engineers are developing camera systems based on mantis shrimp vision that could revolutionize medical imaging and early cancer detection. But if superhuman vision seems impossible, the next animal survived on a diet that should have killed it millions of years ago. The vampire that never ages. A diet of pure blood should kill any mammal within days. Blood lacks essential nutrients, contains dangerous toxins, and coagulates in the stomach. But in the caves of Central America lives a bat that has survived on nothing but blood for millions of years and might hold the secret to eternal youth. The common vampire bat has achieved something that should be biologically impossible. It feeds exclusively on blood, a diet so nutritionally bankrupt and chemically hostile that it would kill any other mammal within 72 hours. Blood contains almost no carbohydrates, minimal fats, and a cocktail of toxins that would overwhelm most digestive systems. Yet vampire bats have thrived on this lethal menu for 15 million years. The secret lies in biological engineering that borders on alchemy. Vampire bat saliva contains a powerful anticoagulant called draculin that prevents blood from clotting while they feed. This isn't just convenient, it's essential. Without it, their tiny stomachs would fill with coagulated blood and they would die from internal blockages. But here's what gets truly disturbing. Vampire bats can consume half their body weight in blood in a single feeding, a feat that would cause fatal blood poisoning in any other animal. Their kidneys immediately begin processing the liquid, concentrating the few nutrients while rapidly eliminating the toxic waste. Within 2 hours of feeding, they excrete most of the water content, transforming a stomach full of blood into concentrated nutrition. Perhaps most remarkably, vampire bats live 20 to 30 years in the wild, 10 times longer than similar-sized mammals. Scientists studying their longevity have discovered unique cellular repair mechanisms that may hold clues to extending human lifespan. Their social behavior defies typical mammalian selfishness. When a bat fails to feed for 3 nights, it faces certain death. But colony mates will regurgitate blood to save a starving neighbor, creating a vampire welfare system built on literal life-sharing. Medical researchers are studying vampire bat draculin as a revolutionary stroke treatment that could dissolve blood clots in human brains. But if living on toxic blood seems extreme, the next rodent solved cancer and aging simultaneously. The zombie immune. Cancer kills 1 in 3 humans. It's a disease that has plagued complex life for millions of years. But in the underground tunnels of East Africa lives a wrinkled, buck-toothed rodent that is virtually immune to cancer and aging, despite living 30 times longer than it should. The naked mole rat looks like nature's cruelest joke. Hairless, wrinkled, and sporting teeth that jut out like rusty nails, this underground dweller resembles a tiny, angry walrus that forgot to grow fur. But beneath that unfortunate exterior lies one of biology's most remarkable success stories, a mammal that has essentially conquered 2 of life's greatest killers. While mice and rats live 2 to 3 years before succumbing to age and disease, naked mole rats live over 30 years with virtually no signs of aging. They don't get cancer. Period. In decades of research involving thousands of specimens, scientists have documented fewer than 5 cases of cancer in naked mole rats, a rate so low it's statistically impossible. But wait, it gets worse. The secret lies in a unique protein called high molecular weight hyaluronic acid that floods their tissues. This molecular bodyguard prevents cells from dividing when they shouldn't, essentially creating an impenetrable barrier against cancerous growth. It's like having a biological security system that's so efficient, malignant cells can't even get started. Naked mole rats are the only cold-blooded mammals on Earth. They can't regulate their own body temperature, clustering together underground like reptiles to stay warm. They're also immune to pain from acid. They can be injected with substances that would send other mammals into agony, and they barely react. Their social structure mirrors that of insects more than mammals, with a single breeding queen ruling over sterile workers in underground colonies. They've essentially become mammalian ants, abandoning warm-bloodedness and individual reproduction for collective survival. Cancer researchers are frantically studying naked mole rat proteins as potential treatments that could make humans virtually immune to cancer and extend human lifespan by decades. But the final animal on our list makes the naked mole rat look normal. It literally dies and comes back to life every winter. The mammal that cheats death. Freezing to death is one of nature's most reliable killers. When ice crystals form in living tissue, they shred cell walls like microscopic razor blades. But in the Alaskan wilderness lives a squirrel that freezes solid every winter and wakes up each spring as if nothing happened. The Arctic ground squirrel has mastered the ultimate biological impossibility, surviving death by freezing. Every autumn, as temperatures plummet across the Alaskan tundra, this small mammal prepares for an 8-month journey to the edge of mortality and back. As winter approaches, the squirrel's metabolism begins shutting down in ways that should kill it. Its heart rate drops from 300 beats per minute to just 4. Its breathing slows to one breath every few minutes, then stops entirely for stretches lasting over an hour. Its body temperature plummets to 26 degrees Fahrenheit, well below the freezing point of water. By every definition of life, the Arctic ground squirrel should be dead. Its blood should be solid ice, its organs frozen beyond repair. Instead, it achieves something called supercooling, maintaining liquid blood at temperatures that should turn it crystalline. Special proteins in its bloodstream act as antifreeze agents, preventing ice formation even at sub-zero temperatures. But here's what's truly terrifying. The squirrel's brain activity drops to levels barely detectable by scientific instruments. For months, it exists in a state between life and death, its body running on metabolic fumes while the Alaskan winter rages overhead. Its cells repair damage and recycle waste products in super slow motion, maintaining just enough function to prevent total system failure. When spring arrives, the impossible happens. The squirrel's internal furnace reignites, its heart rate surges back to normal, and it emerges from its frozen tomb as if awakening from a normal night's sleep. It has spent 8 months colder than a refrigerator and lived to tell about it. Medical researchers are studying Arctic ground squirrel hibernation to develop suspended animation techniques that could preserve humans during long-distance space travel or life-threatening surgeries. So the next time you think humans are the masters of this planet, remember we're not even close. While we're building rockets to escape death, these animals have already solved immortality, survived the vacuum of space, and turned physics into their personal playground. The question isn't what's possible, the question is, what aren't they telling us about what life can really do?